The Midnight Lady. Have you heard of her? The Midnight Lady? I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't. I lived for 31 years without knowing about her, yet she presented herself to me when I needed her the most. To understand my situation better, I should probably start from the beginning. My parents passed away when I was 21 years old, and it fell on my shoulders to take care of my 5-year-old sister, Lisa. I didn't mind. I was studying to become a nurse, and I knew I would be making enough for both of us. We were comfortable and happy for a long time. I remember thinking if this is how it will always be. Unfortunately, just as Geoffrey Chaucer wrote, "But at the last, as everything hath end." And that couldn't be truer in our situation. It was Lisa's 15th birthday, and I remember being proud. I had got reservations in one of her favorite restaurants, this fancy place called 836, after denying her request to go there for months. It was all a ploy to get her excited when we finally did it on her birthday. She was surprised to see me pull up to park at the restaurant, and she embraced me before we headed up to the restaurant. I had planned the evening perfectly. We would start with having dinner with a few of our friends and family to celebrate her birthday. Then we would go to the baseball ranch to hit some balls, and to finish it all off, we would get frozen yogurt at her place our parents often brought us when we were younger. But we never finished the first thing on the itinerary. While we were having dinner, she suddenly fainted. I lost all ability to think at that moment. I could hear my heartbeat increasing and my mind of like scrambled eggs, in the sense that I wasn't able to compute what to do next. Even after all this year of being a nurse and training for a situation exactly like this, I was caught off guard when it happened to my own family. One of my close friends, Eric, caught Lisa right before she hit the ground, but he wasn't able to wake her up. I rushed her to the hospital. The doctors didn't understand what was wrong at first and requested her to be admitted for a few days to do some checks. I knew something was wrong. I, myself, have been in the same position the doctor talked to me was. I have been the one on the other end telling my patients that loved ones that we need to do some more checks to confirm the bad news we already know of. I agreed. 3 days later, the doctor confirmed the sneaking suspicion I had. Lisa had a brain tumor. The treatment cost us more than the savings we had. I turned to everyone or anyone who has money. Banks denied me. Families closed their doors on me. Work had nothing to offer. And I was finally choiceless. Until I found her. Well, her card. It had a lotus at the front of it, with an odd set of numbers in the back. It had 2 additional numbers. It was left in my mailbox. I didn't pay much attention. I was busy with Lisa, work, and begging people for money. Lisa knew I was overwhelmed because I couldn't find a solution for her. She tried talking me into just letting her go, but I couldn't. She was the only family I had, so I tried harder. One day I came back home to find her on the floor of our kitchen. I immediately called an ambulance. It took them less than an hour to get her stable, but felt like it was an eternity. However, along with the good news that she was safe, they dropped the fact that the surgery needed to be done as soon as possible, with the tumor spreading. I agreed to the operation without any money. I remember sitting on the hospital floor when I heard a voice calling out to me. The Midnight Lady. It whispered into my ears. I remember jumping up with my heart racing. I needed a moment to calm down, but as soon as I did, I instinctively dug into my purse looking for that card of the lotus. I knew it was connected. I flipped the card to see the number. I wasn't wrong. There was an extra 2 numbers. I still decided to call the number, as expected to answer. I did this more times than I can remember until I gave up and fell on the ground ready to cry. I looked at the card again and I realized something. There was a comma between the last third and fourth number, which was 12. I wasn't sure what that means, but I tried the number again without the last two. I got a ring. Hello? I cried out without even sure what I was hoping for. There was a silence and followed with a long sigh. What number? The voice that I couldn't quite detect to be a man or woman said. I don't know. I mean, I just found this card and my sister has cancer. I was cut short by another long sigh. What's your number? I was asked again. Oh, 12? I answered as I looked down on the card and guessing a connection that wouldn't have seemed logical to me in any other situation. That wasn't so hard, was it? It said back and hung up on me. I wasn't able to reach them again. Disappointed, I turned away to my sister. I was pretty sure I was too tired and sleepy that I was daydreaming. I opened the door back to the ER when I bumped into something. No. Someone with their back turned away from me. I didn't know at that time, but this person had all the power in the world to help or destroy me. I'm sorry, I said whilst looking up to the 6'8" figure in front of me. The figure turned to face me and I couldn't help but shriek in fear. This person had her mouth sewn shut with dried blood covering the wounds of the stitches. Where one would imagine eyes, she had smooth curves, and she was dressed in a large purple robe. I could see that she wasn't wearing anything underneath, in which revealed the scratches and cuts on her skin. You called? Her voice boomed, but her lips weren't moving. She wasn't anyone I have seen, but she was familiar. She had a calming presence about her, and her brown eyes memorized me. I'm sorry? I answered. You called, and I am here. What can I do for you? Again, her voice boomed into my ears, but I couldn't see her lips moving. Tell me what you need, Helen, again she repeated. I need money for her surgery, I said in a daze. Everything has a price. The figure nodded, and just as mysterious as she came, she vanished. I closed my eyes and opened them to a doctor, flashing a flashlight into my eyes. Are you okay? He asked, to which I nodded. Where is she? I asked. The doctor and his nurse both looked at each other, confused at my question. They told me they found me passed out in the hallway and brought me in to check it if I was okay. I wasn't I? I wasn't sure of myself. I excused myself, and after saying goodbye to my sister, I went back home for some shut-eye before my early shift tomorrow. As I was walking back home, I saw the deli I frequently visit for a midnight snack. I stopped by to grab some snacks when the owner of the deli stopped me to ask about my sister. I felt like everyone knew, but no one could help. I answered politely as I could, and was ready to leave when he stopped me again. He gave me a scratch and win ticket. I used to get it weekly from him, but I never really won anything. You forgot to buy it this week, he said, smiling. It's free. Take it. I smiled and took it from him. I wasn't in the mood to scratching anything. I don't know how I am going to pay for Lisa's surgery and the medication she would need afterwards. If I had $1 million, everything would be good. I could do the surgery and have enough money to quit work for a few years to take care of Lisa. As soon as I reached home, I started munching on my snacks. I looked over to the coffee table in front of me and noticed the ticket. Without hoping for too much, I scratched the ticket. It was the winning numbers. I was ecstatic, jumping up and down. The first thing I did the very next day was to collect my money. I received a few calls from the hospital, but I ignored, knowing that they are probably worried about my checks being bounced. But not anymore. I won $1 million. Exactly the amount I need to make sure Lisa is okay. Okay. Maybe it was a little more than what I needed, but this could help me too. I could quit my job and hang out with Lisa more. Not to mention, I could even save more than enough for her studies. Things were looking better. As soon as I reached the hospital, I was greeted by worried nurses and solemn doctors. The doctor I was familiar with approached me. He told me the bad news that Lisa passed away that morning while I was out getting the money. The cause of her death was not yet determined, but her body was already brought to the morgue. I cried for hours, begging for her back. I had the money to save her, but she wasn't even alive. I knew deep down it was her who took her away from me. The Midnight Lady. She said it came with a price, but I would have never thought it'd be Lisa. I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's story. If you did, be sure to hit a like. Or, if you want to support the channel, be sure to subscribe. Also, if you're looking to suggest any stories, you can find me over on my Discord in the link below. Anyways, guys, be careful out there, because you never know what's hiding in the dark.